It's been 337 days since Google released its helpful content update that devastated many small and independent publishers. Since then, many have even jumped ship and tried to get traffic from Pinterest. Well, today, all of that may be changing. Google just announced another massive core update. And the good news? This update specifically focuses on helping small and independent publishers rank better. I've been in this industry 16 years now, and I've never seen Google use language this positive towards the little guys before. I'm hesitant to say it, but this may finally make Google a viable traffic source for many once again. On the other hand, this week, many are reporting massive traffic drops from Pinterest, and it's not looking good for small publishers over there. So how exactly is Google intending to help small publishers do better? What kind of content are they rewarding and punishing? And is the Pinterest honeymoon over for bloggers? I'm Mark Webster, co-founder of Authority Hacker and strategic advisor at Marketing Pros, and you're watching Authority Hacker News, brought to you by today's sponsor, Search Intelligence. More on them later. For now, let's get started. Google has dropped a bombshell announcing its August 2024 core update. And for once, there might actually be some good news for small publishers. The update text specifically mentions small and independent publishers, which is a promising sign for those who have been struggling in recent months. According to Google's status dashboard, this update will take a month to roll out, but let's be real. If past experience is anything to go by, we're probably in this until the end of September. John Mueller, Google's search advocate, has shared some insights about the update and its potential impact on small publishers. Here's what he had to say. This latest update takes into account the feedback we've heard from some creators and others over the past few months. As always, we aim to connect people with a range of high-quality sites, including small or independent sites that are creating useful, original content when relevant to user searches. This is an area we'll continue to address in future updates. This update also aims to better capture improvements that sites may have made so we can continue to show the best of the web. You can read the full Google Search Central blog post for more details, but here are our initial takeaways from this announcement. First off, it sounds like we might finally see more weight given to small publishers in the SERPs. Google says they've been listening to feedback from creators over the past few months. If you've been following our channel, you'll remember that we covered Retrododo founder Brandon Saltalamachia's visit to Google's offices a couple of months ago. Once again, Google emphasized that they want sites to create content for humans, not just to do well on search, which implied content that ranked before was not good for humans. And here's some potentially great news. We may finally see HCU recoveries. Google says this update will better capture improvements that sites have made. So if you've been working hard to improve your content since the last update, there may finally be light at the end of the tunnel. We're keeping a close eye on Retrododo and sites like HouseFresh, plus other great sites affected by the helpful content update, to see how well they're doing in this update. Google's also updated its core update guidelines extensively. They're now providing more step-by-step information to evaluate drops from updates. They've introduced this concept of big drops and small drops, and they're offering guidance for assessing larger drops using questions found in their Creating Helpful Content guidelines. Questions like, does the content provide original information, reporting, research, or analysis? Does the content provide a substantial, complete, or comprehensive description of the topic? And does the content provide insightful analysis or interesting information that's beyond the obvious? Google's also advising against quick fix changes and SEO fixes, instead focusing on making changes that make sense for the user. They even mentioned content pruning as a good practice, suggesting that as a last resort, you delete content if you think you can't improve it. One important thing to note, Google now says it could take months, possibly until the next core update, to recover if you had a big drop, which is a big walk back from Danny Sullivan's previous claim that you could recover in a couple of weeks. Overall, this guidance is better than we've seen before, but it's still pretty vague at times, and I feel like we could have found some of this in the horoscope section of People magazine. As always, take everything Google says with a pinch of salt. They're known for not walking the talk, especially in the past few updates. At the time of recording, which is just hours after the announcement, there aren't many movements to report on, and there's a glitch going on in rankings unrelated to the core update. But we'll be keeping a close eye on the situation and reporting on major changes in next week's video. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to get the latest news directly in your YouTube feed. And while Google is trying to recover your traffic, it seems like Pinterest is doing the opposite. So let's dive into that story next. According to Pinterest expert Tony Hill and numerous Twitter users, many Pinterest accounts are experiencing a significant drop in clicks and impressions. This downturn appears to be primarily affecting newer accounts belonging to small content creators. In a past interview on our podcast, Hill shed some light on Pinterest's algorithm. In 2023, Pinterest started to favor new and fresh content, probably probably in an attempt to mimic the way TikTok works. This allowed newer accounts to grow rapidly as long as they consistently churned out fresh content. We were seeing accounts barely 6 months old posting 5 to 10 pins each day. These creators were able to drive substantial traffic to their websites, offsetting some of the losses from the helpful content updates. But now it seems like this golden era for new Pinterest creators may be coming to an end. Many users have taken to Twitter to share how their Pinterest impressions and clicks have taken a nosedive. We've seen posts showing stats plummeting almost overnight. However, other users haven't noticed any difference to their impressions and traffic. Hill suspects the reason behind this algorithm change is twofold. First, creators are flooding the platform with AI images to churn out more fresh content quickly. Pinterest needs to rebalance how well this works to avoid having their entire platform being overtaken by such images. The second is that Pinterest appears to be focusing more on product discovery and purchases, which aligns with their new deal with Amazon, allowing users to directly purchase Amazon products without leaving the Pinterest app. Pinterest is likely adjusting its algorithm to favor content that leads to actual purchases. They're prioritizing pins, linking to stores like Etsy or Amazon to enable in-app purchases, as they're probably getting some kind of commissions from these purchases. This means that through a domino effect, they're probably deprioritizing content that doesn't lead to purchases, which are often AI images. Interestingly now, Pinterest's reaction to the influx of AI content mirrors Google's approach. After the March core and spam updates, Google began favoring content for real businesses over pure content sites. It seems both platforms are prioritizing entities with more skin in the game, so that's businesses that have more to lose if they share harmful information, so they're less likely to do it. So what can affected users do to recover their lost traffic from Pinterest? Well, Hill suggests a 4-step plan. First, incorporate more purchasable products into your pins. Second, continue pinning regularly, especially for newer accounts. Third, be patient, as traffic often recovers after algorithm updates. And finally, recognize that the recent rapid growth may have been unusual and adjust your expectations accordingly. We'll be keeping a close eye on the situation and will report any significant changes. Next up, a new link building study has some surprising revelations about paid links. Editorial.link recently published their State of Link Building 2024 survey, which polled 113 participants from various SEO backgrounds. This survey provides an interesting point of comparison with our own 2022 survey, which included responses from 755 link builders. Let's compare these surveys and see if we can land on some objective facts about how the pros are currently building links. First, what's the expected time frame for seeing results from link building efforts? Well, our 2022 survey found it takes about 3.1 months on average, while Editorial.link's respondents reported seeing results in just 2 to 4 weeks. The difference might be because our survey included more new websites, which typically take longer to see results though. When it comes to paid links, our survey found that 74.3% of respondents pay for links. Editorial.link took a different approach, asking if people thought that their competitors were buying links, and a whopping 92% said yes. This could mean paid link acquisition is on the rise, or it might just reflect a different sample group. The cost of links also shows some interesting differences. Our respondents reported an average cost of $83 per link, while Editorial.link survey found people were typically paying at least $300 per link. Now, Editorial.link's respondents' preference for digital PR, with 67.3% saying it's the best type of link building, may be the reason for the differences here. We also want to note that strategies like digital PR are not equal to buying link insertions or guest post placements. With digital PR, you're paying to create content and pitch journalists, not paying sites directly to link to you. This is much less risky and is generally a more rewarding tactic than buying links. And speaking of risk, a recent study by Admix Global highlights the dangers of buying and selling links. Over 40,000 websites selling links saw big traffic drops after Google's March updates. Only about 6.6% of the sites that were being monitored actually managed to maintain a positive traffic trajectory during that time. So if you've built links in the past, then you might want to go back and check them. The study also found that fewer websites, only 12.6%, are now willing to sell links. However, it's still common in competitive niches such as finance, insurance, and gambling, probably because the links in these areas can command really high prices. These findings show how link building is evolving and the growing risks of paid link acquisition, both from the buyer and seller side now. As Google gets better at detecting these practices, SEOs may need to shift towards more organic, content-driven strategies to build high-quality backlinks. But does any of this even matter in a landscape increasingly dominated by AI overviews? To answer this question, let's dive into the findings of a recent SE rankings study. They found that 93.67% of AI overviews link to at least one domain from the top 10 organic search results. This underscores the continued importance of achieving high organic rankings if you want to appear for these AI-generated summaries that are essentially the new #1 position. Interestingly, only 7.47% of searches now trigger AI overviews overviews, down from 8.72% in the previous study and over 80% in the experimental Search Generative Experience SGE last year. Clearly, Google ate their hat here and realized this feature is not quite ready for most queries at least yet. The study also revealed that longer queries are more likely to trigger AI overviews. So 10-word queries now trigger them 32.02% of the time, up from 19.10%. It seems Google's pushing AI overviews for those long-tail queries that might not have direct answers on ranking pages. In a positive note for organic results, AI overviews are getting shorter too. The average text length has decreased from 4,342 to just 2,633 characters. This means organic results are being pushed back up, occupying more prime space on the SERPs. To help SEOs keep track of all this, SE Ranking's launching a new AI overviews tracker. They claim this will plug the analytics gap left by Google's reluctance to provide AI overview data in Search Console. It's good to see that SEO tools are starting to figure out how to track this data, and I expect that we'll see more developments in this space too from some of the other big players. Our next story looks at some big changes in Google Discover as a traffic source. But first, a quick word from our sponsor, Search Intelligence. They're a digital PR agency that recently landed massive links for their bingo client in top-tier publications like The Sun, DR90, MSN DR92, and Blackpool Gazette DR72, and many other news outlets. Here's how they did it. Using Google Keyword Planner, they identified the top 10 most Googled bingo-related search terms in the UK and extracted monthly search volumes across 60 different cities. They then ranked these cities by normalizing the data per 100,000 residents using census information. They sent a detailed report to national and regional journalists with tailored headlines for each region, like Liverpool ranks 4th as the most bingo-obsessed city in the UK. This targeted approach resulted in widespread coverage and valuable backlinks. So if you're looking to enhance your link building efforts with creative digital PR campaigns, head on over to search-intelligence.co.uk. A recent study by NewsDash claimed to uncover an interesting shift in how Google is distributing traffic to news publishers. The research analyzed 8.1 billion clicks from hundreds of news publishers using Google Search Console data. It compared traffic sources between 2023 and 2024, and they claim the findings show a surprising shift. News sites saw a substantial increase in Google Discover traffic, jumping from 41.6% to 55.6% of their total Google traffic. On the flip side, web search traffic declined significantly, dropping from 46.5% to 36%. However, it is important to note that these figures represent traffic share, rather than absolute traffic numbers. Without more data, we can't definitively say whether these sites are gaining traffic from Google Discover, or if their search traffic fell so much that Discover is now a larger percentage of the overall traffic. Nevertheless, this trend suggests it's not just smaller sites experiencing a decrease in search traffic. Even major news publishers are feeling the impact as well. So what does that mean for you? Well, it might be time to optimize your website for Google Discover if you haven't already. And for those not currently producing industry news content, it may be worth considering. Diversifying into news could potentially help offset some of the traffic losses from recent Google search updates. In fact, to help you create more news content, Google just revamped Google Trends with a super useful new feature. It's called the Trending Now page. This feature now displays specific phrases that are trending, along with their total search volume, when they started trending, associated queries, and a visual graph. You can filter by country, state, and time frame. But before you go and cancel your exploding topic subscription, Google's Trending Now only looks at trend periods between 4 hours and 7 days. But if it proves a success, we could see this expanded in future as well. Google's also experimenting with how people engage and interact with the SERP. Some users might notice a "you may like" label for some search snippets. This was spotted by ex-user Ryan Muse. It's unclear what the criteria Google is using for this label is. Could it be a form of personalized search with discrete labeling? Is Google analyzing the types of websites users visit and suggesting similar ones, akin to YouTube's content suggestions? Or is it simply a rebranding of the "you visit often" label we've seen before? We'll have to wait and see how this develops. Google's also experimenting with how users access video content from search results. Ex-user Gagan Gotra reported that clicking on more videos in the search feed now sometimes directs users straight to the short video tab, rather than expanding the feed within the search results. This could be Google testing whether users clicking on more videos are specifically interested in short form content or just looking for a variety of video formats. Either way, expect more shakeups of the SERPs this year. And that's another reason why you should subscribe to our channel to stay up to date with all the latest developments in search. Now, Google is not the only company that's been busy adding new features to its product. WordPress, the platform powering 40% of the web, unveiled a new built-in AI writer tool designed to help webmasters write better content. The feature, called Write Brief with AI, aims to improve the readability of your content. It doesn't write for you like many other tools in the market. Instead, it analyzes the writing and highlights complex words, long sentences, and what it considers unconfident words. The tool then provides suggestions to make your writing cleaner and more accessible. As an added feature, it also gives you a reading grade score out of 10. The functionality is reminiscent of the popular free tool Hemingway app, but with the added benefit of AI capabilities and direct integration into WordPress. Currently, the feature is in beta and it's available to WordPress websites with a Jetpack plugin. Give it a shot and let us know in the comments how well it works for you. It's time now for our debate of the week. Do you think there's a chance of Google becoming once again a viable traffic source for small publishers, or is this update just another PR stunt? Let us know in the comments below. And if you liked this video, you will also like this video.